Olá, boa tarde a todos. É um prazer estarmos com mais uma entrevista com um grande convidado. O Piano e Suas Perspectivas é um programa da Escola de Música e Artes Cênicas, Reitoria Digital da Universidade Federal de Goiás e a Mississippi State University, com o apoio da Fundação para Ciência e Tecnologia de Portugal, Centro de Estudos de Sociologia e Estética Musical da Universidade Nova de Lisboa, Centro de Estudos Brasileiros, Rádio Universitária e Rádio Brasil Central FM. Fazem parte da equipe do programa Além de Mim, Maria Caroline Porto, Pablo Lisboa, Rosângela Yasbeck Seba, Sérgio de Paiva e Wesley de Menezes. Nossa proposta é levar a todos os interessados assuntos relacionados à importância da arte e seu papel na sociedade. A entrevistadora de hoje será a doutora Rosângela Seba, chefe do Departamento de Piano da Escola de Música da Mississippi State University. The Piano and its Perspectives is a program of the School of Music and Performing Arts, Digital Department of the Federal University of Goiás and Mississippi State University, with support from the Foundation for Science and Technology of Portugal, Center for Studies in Sociology and Musical Aesthetics of the University of Lisbon, Center for Brazilian Studies, Radio Universitária, and Radio Brasil Central FM. Besides me, Maria Caroline Porto, Pablo Lisboa, Rosângela Yasbeck Seba, Sérgio de Paiva, and Wesley de Menezes are part of the program's team. Our proposal is to bring to all those interested issues related to the importance of music and its role in society. The interviewer today will be Dr. Rosângela Seba, head of the piano department, the Mississippi State University. Welcome, Dr. Rose.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the invitation. And I would like to invite Ammiel Bushakevitz to join us in this interview. Hi, Ammiel. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, Rosa. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's my pleasure. Let me introduce you guys. Ammiel Bushakevitz is an internationally acclaimed young pianist in his generation. Born in Jerusalem, Israel, and raised in South Africa, he studied in Berlin, Leipzig, and Paris. Ammiel is recognized for his ability of accompanying singers all over the world. He has presented in festivals in China, Australia, and Europe. And in 2013, Ammiel released his debut solo CD recorded in Salle Pleyel in Paris. And since then, he released 7 commercial recordings on labels including Biz, a Sweden label, Hassler Classics, Germany, and Sofa, Spain, and Gramola, Austria. I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. It's a pleasure to get to know you and your background in music.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Ammiel, how and where did you start your experience learning music? We know that you were born in Israel and raised in South Africa. So tell us more about you.
Well, my family comes from a bit all over, and I started playing piano through the inspiration of my mother and my grandmother, in fact. We had a piano at home, and I would stand on the piano chair as a child and play with my fists and my elbows. And my mother said that was not allowed. So I had to sit and play with my fingers, which I found very boring. But she was very strict and very disciplined. And so she was my first teacher. And I was in a small town in South Africa. And I was very fortunate to have wonderful mentors growing up. And especially as a teenager and at university, I really must say the inspiration came a lot from the teachers. I think in any field, inspiration comes not only from within, but also from outside factors.
And so you started learning from your mother, and the process of going from your mother's teaching up to probably a professor that trained you to audition to be accepted at university, and your teachers at university. Tell us a little bit more details about that. And because we are also interested in knowing the differences in educational systems
Yes.
in Africa, in Europe, because we know that there are variants of requirements in
Yes.
curriculum. Tell us
Yes.
more about it.
Well, I was fortunate when I was around 13 to have the mentorship of a wonderful professor who is now retired. He was professor at the University of Pretoria, Professor Heinrich van der Mescht, and he really helped me with basics. So I think all young pianists just want to get through with a piece, and they want to perform it flashy and as fast as possible and as loud as possible, and get the applause. And I was no exception. And he really sat with me, and we played just middle C and worked on the thumbs movements and just tiny details and slowly. And that was a new revelation for me. So that was, I think, a big step in my career, in my studies. And then later at university, I was with Professor Mario Nell, who's now head of the department at the University of Stellenbosch. And both of these two professors I mentioned had German education. So Professor van der Mescht studied in Hanover, which is a wonderful, very famous school for piano. And Professor Nell studied, or Dr. Nell studied at the Hochschule in Freiburg. So both of them actually had this German school, which I think is very important for someone like me who is naturally undisciplined.
It's very interesting to hear that you said that, because it is a trend amongst the young pianists. I would say young musicians, to play loud and fast, and discipline may not be one adjective that we can add to them.
Yes.
So we have here a recording of you playing Liszt, arrangement or transcription of Wagner Usold Liebestod. And this is you mentioned that it's a Peters edition. And we would like to hear that. Can you explain where, talk a little bit about the music and where you recorded this?
Yes. Well, since I was quite young, I had a fascination for the music of Wagner. I think when many teenagers are listening to rock music, I was listening to Wagner, but on the same sound level as rock music. So I put it as loud as it could go. I shut all the windows so that it wouldn't bother anyone. But that was my rebel stage, and I think every pianist has a deep respect for the music of Liszt and for Liszt as a person. So for me, this combination of Liszt and Wagner, who were such big influences on each other, is just remarkable. And Liszt's arrangements of Wagner's music it's a treasure chest. This is, of course, one of the most famous ones, the Isolde's, the famous scene, the love scene from Isolde's, from Tristan and Isolde. And it's just always beautiful. The famous Tristan chord comes at the beginning.
Oh, and where did you record this?
I recorded it at a wonderful venue just outside Lisbon in Portugal, on a wonderful Bösendorfer Imperial.
Oh, okay. We're going to hear now your recording. Beautiful. It's beautiful performance. Thank you so much for letting us listen to your performance of this Liszt, Wagner Liszt. It's beautiful. It's
Yes.
just beautiful.
Thank you very
Beautifully
much.
done. Beautifully performed. It is known that the Busendorfer has 92 keys, the extra 4. This one had an entire octave. Am I correct?
Yes, there is one with an entire octave. Very seldom used, but really fun to play on.
So what? Because also Busendorfers are a little different in mechanism, and they have more resonance. How was do you think this performance or this work suits better the Busendorfer than other pianos?
That's an interesting question. I mean, Liszt played a Steingräber at the end of his life for the pure reason that Mr. Steingräber was willing to do anything that Liszt asked. So to put on these wrought iron frames and enlarge the capacity of the piano and the tension of the strings. So Liszt found a willing piano maker. But I think Liszt would have loved a Bösendorfer. I think he would have used those low octaves and those extra notes to very theatrical purposes.
Yeah, he loved the big sounds, the orchestral sounds.
Yes,
and
yes.
that really suits the instrument in a way.
Yes. I do. I should say that I've very seldom used those notes because they're not written really in many compositions, but they do contribute to the resonance in general of the piano, even when one doesn't use them. Yeah,
that's correct, and that's what I was talking about. The resonance of the piano is way fuller than the other ones. Did you cover? Was there a cover for the extra notes, or did you uncover that to record?
It was open. You mean the piano lid?
No, I'm talking about the extra notes. Usually they have a black.
Oh
cover.
Yes, the little cover. No, I left them open.
All
yes.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. I love the talk about the mechanism of different instruments because that influence in our performance. It's amazing how we are subject to whatever instrument we have.
Yes. And I mean, a piano is such a marvelous machine with so many parts that somehow all work together to move one's soul, hopefully.
Have you played the Fazioli?
Yes, I've played. I must say I've played many Faziolis, but only concert Faziolis, only the really big ones. I haven't played any smaller Faziolis. And I suppose you would like to know what I think about it.
Yeah, I would. Yes.
Well, I must say they work fantastically mechanically, and everything is perfect. But personally, I like older pianos. I like pianos from the 1960s and 70s that have had a bit of life behind them and experiences. Maybe I'm just sentimental.
No, I understand. I completely understand and respect your opinion about that. So you are right now really sought after a collaborative pianist, and you are right now in Nuremberg working with a singer. And what was your way to Europe and to become a chamber musician in a way, and let us know more about you and your freelance career.
Yes. Well, I came to Europe already in 2009. It was time has flown. I won a scholarship competition to study in Germany, the Deutsche Akademische Austauschdienst. It's called DAAD. And it's a wonderful organization that sponsors young musicians from all over the world to study in Germany and pays their tuition fees and their accommodation and just all their costs. So it's really a wonderful privilege to have received that. And yes, I came to Europe with already a master's degree. from a university in South Africa, the University of Pretoria. And I wanted to study chamber music especially, and focus on the art song, because that was my passion. But I continued to perform as a soloist, and I just enjoy the broad range of repertoire that a piano has. It's maybe unique among instruments to be able to access such a wide variety of wonderful repertoire from so many centuries. But back to your question of how I came to Europe. Well, I was always interested in studying in Europe. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go to London or Vienna or Paris or a city in Germany. But Germany is really a wonderful center for classical music. And Germany has many big cities which support the arts, and the government supports the arts. So I've been very grateful and thankful to be in a city like in a country like this, especially during COVID times, as a freelancer who has no fixed salary. And when all the concerts are cancelled and there's no concerts happening, then there's just zero income. So the government really helps freelancers and especially artists with that. So yeah,
well, I'm happy about that. I'm really happy to hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
In your interest in becoming a pianist, especially collaborating with singers, where does this come from? Is this something that you always wanted to do? And who were your mentors? I know you worked with a fabulous singer, and can you talk more about it?
Yes, that's actually something that developed over time, and through wonderful teachers. And I've always had a love for literature and for the spoken word and the written word, and I think that comes from this love. That to me, solo and instrumental music is wonderful, but just to add text to that and great poetry, for example, it just gives it another dimension to make it it's just an explosion of wonder. And for me, that's always fascinated me. And Schumann actually said that when he wrote a song, when he set a poem to music, that the poem died and something new is born. It's not just music added to a poem, because of course the rhythm changes. I've always been fascinated by this wonderful miracle of sung words, of words sung by a singer, and the human voice has always interested me as well. I just have a connection, maybe from my mother singing lullabies to me. Something, I'm not sure, it's something very deep and profound connection to the human voice. Mm-hmm. And to the piano. So the combining the human voice and piano is just, I'm living my dream.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And can you talk about your mentor?
Well, I've
your professor.
Yes.
You study with.
Yes, I've really been fortunate to have had wonderful mentors. Not only one, many people who have helped me along to where I am now. And well, the mentors I mentioned in South Africa, Mario Nel, Professor Heinrich van der Meest, Professor Joseph Stanford, and in Europe, Professor Philip Moll, who is in South American, from Chicago, and is just a insatiable mind. It's just so interested in everything that life has to offer, from trains to voyages, exotic places, exotic food. And he just really inspired me as a musician and as a person to draw everything, suck everything that life has to offer out of it. So yeah, and his knowledge of repertoire is just amazing. I mean, the musicians that he heard as a child in Chicago in the 50s and 60s, immigrants from Europe who went to America during the war, and yes.
And if we want to, if a singer or any other musician would like to hire you, what is the process of getting in touch with you?
Well, they can contact me on my website, or on social media, and sometimes I don't reply. I'm not really good at that. I have an agent in London as well, an agency. So that's also possible to contact me through the agency. But I hope it's not too difficult to get hold of me.
So in that case, the website is under your name, Ammiel?
Yes,
okay.
It's my surname, Bushakevitz.com.
And Bushakevitz will have, in your website, would have the email as well as phone numbers and
yes,
information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's wonderful to know. I know you are in Nuremberg, and you are planning to work with a singer. And through that work, also other opportunities will arise, and it's arising right now, and you're planning. Can you talk more about it?
Well, I'm in Nuremberg, which is a wonderfully historic city in Bavaria, with a great baritone, Samuel Hasselhorn, who's making a big name for himself internationally as an opera singer and as an art song interpreter. And we have a project of recording one CD of the art songs of Schubert per year until the great Schubert year of 2028, which is his 200th anniversary of his death. So we're doing this with the label Harmonia Mundi, and the recordings will be in Berlin, and we'll have side projects like masterclasses, recitals, videos, maybe even children's books. So it's an exciting project that I'm busy with, and I'm really fortunate to be enjoying my life so much, and my work is my great joy. So I can't complain.
Wonderful. Well, and you're gonna be busy. That's
Yes.
Wonderful. So, Ammiel, where is home, and how do you balance your personal career, your soloistic career, your chamber musician? You're traveling all the time as well. What is the
Yes.
balance? How do you do it?
Well, it's a difficult balance. I'm based in Berlin and Paris, so I'm kind of traveling between France and Germany a lot. I studied in Paris as well, so I have many good connections and contacts there. And of course, France is very centralized in Paris, so a lot of the festivals and other concerts that take place in other parts of France are all managed and organized in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I have to be there quite often. And I'm fortunate to enjoy traveling. I believe that having experiences is more important than having objects. I say that now. I'm still relatively young, so maybe later my focus will change. But at the moment, I'm very happy to be traveling a lot, and even during COVID, when there's openings, I can travel, and it sometimes makes me feel a bit guilty because, of course, traveling, one should not travel too much in COVID times, but I try and be careful and to travel, for example, by car as often as possible. Mm-hmm. But yes, you asked about balancing the solo career and the chamber career. Well, I do enjoy, like I mentioned earlier, a wide variety of piano opportunities and genres. And for example, playing with orchestra is wonderful. And my last concert before the first lockdown was in Wuhan, in China, and in January last year. And it was exactly the time when there was rumors of a virus in the city, and I thought, there's nothing happening. And the hall was full, 2,000 spectators. It was of course, it was Beethoven year, and I played the triple concerto of Beethoven with wonderful partners. And yeah, that turned out to be the final concert before the lockdown. So life is full of adventures.
and surprises.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know that we have another video that I would like to show, and it, coincidentally, you play a Busendorfer, which was one of the favorite Busoni's pianos. So we're gonna hear Busoni Bach. And can you tell me more about the work and where you recorded this?
Well, I recorded this in the historic city of Heidelberg. It's in a suburb of Heidelberg called Eppelheim, and it's in a beautiful hall, wonderful piano. Heidelberg is, of course, a city known for its famous university, and it's one of the oldest universities in the world, and known for its faculty of philosophy and its poets. So and the work is Ich ruf zu dir, I call to you, by Bach.
All right. Beautiful voicing and beautiful tone. It's beautiful. Was this a festival that you were performing or a concert?
This was actually recorded during a lockdown, and it was supposed to be a concert which was cancelled, and then it became a online concert.
Is there any other transcriptions that you have done by Bach Busoni? Because he wrote so many. I think there are 6 or 7 volumes. 7 volumes, I think, of his transcriptions of Bach music.
Yes, I grew up with a wonderful recording of Mare Pariah playing Bach Busoni, so it's something very, very dear to me.
Yeah, so of course you probably play more than
yes, I have
the chaconne, the D minor probably as well.
Yes, that as well. Yeah.
That's the famous one that everybody plays. Yeah. Well, this is beautiful. I'm so glad that we are talking because it opens an opportunity for me to hear your performances and get
That's very touching.
more. This is wonderful. We do have 2 more questions, and I will invite Andrea to come and join us to ask you the questions, and I will let her lead the end of the interview.
If you can be with us, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
And thank you one more time, Ammiel. Thank you for sharing your musical life. It's great your piano taught, your sensibility to play the music. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would like to know that if you can share with us some stories about the inspiration, because you've played all over the world, and we artists are privileged to visit especially inspiring places. And could you tell us which piano and which room you felt this power of gratitude and inspiration? Could you tell us some story about this, please?
Yes. Well, I'll have to mention 3 because there's so many that I can think of that are wonderful experiences to me. One, I mean, for different reasons. The first one is for a reason of just pure beauty, a natural beauty. There's a hall in Australia. It's a center called Eukarya, and it's actually part of a farm where the owners built a beautiful round circular concert hall that has glass windows. So when one plays on the piano, one can look outside and see just swarms of or flocks of birds going to nest, and kangaroos and wallabies hopping around, and a beautiful sunset over the eucalyptus trees. And that was just an unforgettable recital for me personally. It was really hard to concentrate on piano playing while there's such a beautiful scene outside. That was one. That was in the south of Australia, near Adelaide. Then there's the Wartburg in Germany. The Wartburg is a castle in Eisenach, just outside Eisenach, where Bach was born. And it's actually the castle where Martin Luther was imprisoned and translated the Bible in the 16th century. And it has a beautiful hall called the Tannhäuser Hall, where there are wonderful mural paintings by Moritz von Schwind, who was a friend of Schubert. So all these historical events come together in this one place, and that was just an unbelievable experience to perform in this historic hall. And the third place is actually in Bayreuth on Liszt's own piano, which was also very special for me. It was the last piano that he played on. And the final recital he gave, he performed some of the late works of Schubert. So for me, I have a special love for Schubert, and to know that I play on this piano with the elderly Liszt, played his final notes, was really moving.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to share a very nice pic that I like it so much. I will see. Just a minute, please. This one. Can you tell us this place, please, a little bit?
Well, that's the Konzerthaus in Berlin. The Konzerthaus is, of course, a legendary venue. I hope I'm not being too disrespectful, but it's just a wonderful venue. It was completely bombarded in the Second World War and reduced almost to rubble, and then meticulously rebuilt in its original style and state to what it is now. It's a historic venue. So yeah.
Yes, very nice speak. And what do you can you say something for our students about a little bit about the inspiration, please?
Yes. Well, I think it's often said to follow your dreams or follow your passion, and I think that's very important.
Yes.
But I think it's also important to contribute something, and it's very rewarding personally to know that one contributed or contributes something to the development of culture or of society. And I think that gives a great sense of joy and achievement to know that one is on the shoulders of all the giants who came before, and on these shoulders you can see further, and you can contribute and lay the bricks for the future generations. So I would say that to me is something to strive for as a young musician, to find a niche and a way to contribute to the development of the world.
Yes, thank you very much. And I have one more question, please. It's about organization. And you've been invited to play at various festivals around the world, in Africa, China, Europe, the United States. And I saw that you did a big tour in China with the wonderful singer Laetitia Grimaldi. Could you tell us some differences that were impressive to you in relation to the festival in China and others in Europe on organization? Or is there no longer that big cultural difference, please?
I think there is still a big difference. For me, the biggest difference is that the beautiful concert halls in China that have wonderful instruments, wonderful acoustics, and wonderful publics as well. Almost all of them that I played at were sold out, and just 2,000 to 3,000 people, and all young people. Very rare to see an elderly person there, which is the opposite in the West. We're used to concert halls with more elderly people, or not the youngest people, not students. And in China, it's just remarkable how the young generation is keen to imbibe and to learn about culture and about history, and just this respect they have for tradition and for this wonderful history of music. That is just, to me, very remarkable. And yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
I think one of the things maybe I can chime in. One of the things that I admire in the Asian culture in general is that they respect the teachers and they respect the masters. If you are mastering something, they are willing to learn from you, and they want to learn from you. I went to Asia as a teacher. Every time I walked in, they stood up and applaud, and I wasn't sure what was going on. And I kept looking who they were applauding to realize that they were referring to me, and the respect that they have for knowledge.
Yes,
it's another thing.
Beautifully said.
Yes, knowledge for them is like gold. You own something that they are willing to do anything to get from you.
Yes.
And if you are willing to share with them, they would do anything. They even meet with you at midnight
Yes,
to learn.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, and it's amazing how now the understanding of art for them is, for so long they were within their own world, and now they realize there's so much more. So I think it's trying to catch up, trying to embrace all the differences. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, Ammiel, I since you were talking to Andrea about inspiration and finding your niche and understanding what is your objective on earth as an artist, as a musician, what is your advice for a young pianist or a young musician?
Well, I would say to not always go with the flow. So, for example, the idea of becoming a solo concert a concert pianist, for example, is something that I didn't just take for granted, and I tried to find my own place in my career as well. So, for example, music competitions, which are very important to the young generation, they don't always mean a successful career. So even if one's first prize, it doesn't mean that the road is set for the future. So it's a big combination of things like being friendly and being open to meet people, being respectful, like you mentioned. Things like that are also very important in a career. And like I mentioned earlier, finding your place, finding a niche, that's also very important. And just trying out many things, being brave, being courageous, and just going for it.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time that you took to talk to us. Also, besides you already mentioned that there are several projects with the singer, with the Schubert. Is there any other project as soloist coming to the US? Maybe I'm not sure, but with the COVID.
Yes.
But, what are your future projects?
Well, I have a few exciting things. I'm hoping to come to the US, of course. I'm hoping to play on a very special piano, which I had the honor to select for a festival in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's an exact replica from the year 1826, an exact replica of Beethoven's piano that was built for an admirer of Beethoven, and it's a Broadwood from London. Of course, Beethoven's piano, as you know, it was sent by boat along the English Channel and then the rivers, and it came floating down the Danube and had to be taken by a horse carriage. So it's just amazing to have this instrument. And I was fortunate to find this replica, which was in quite a bad condition and had to be restored over many months. And of course, just as I was supposed to perform on it, COVID came. So I'm looking forward to performing on that instrument when I have the opportunity to travel to Canada again. That's one of the projects. Another one is wonderful. Next year is the anniversary of César Franck.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a lot of César Franck's chamber music, piano quintet, and things like that. So which is really meaty, pianistic music. So that's I love the art song, but the art song is very fragile and very one has to listen to the singer. But it's nice to play a concerto or solo recital where you can really dig into the piano as well.
Are you going to perform all Beethoven in that piano? Is that the program?
I'm not sure exactly what will be planned yet.
Okay. Well, we look forward to hear about you and more about you. We also have the Schubert Wanderer Fantasy recording. I would like to listen to that before I ask you one more last question. So let's hear a little bit of maybe 5 minutes. It's a long fantasy, and maybe 5 minutes of the fantasy.
With pleasure.
It's a beautiful work and really well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
This four-movement work is known even by Schubert as one of his most difficult works. Do you agree with that?
Yes. In fact, Schubert was not so well known in his time, and most of his pieces were performed in small gatherings with his friends. Many of his songs he sang himself while accompanying himself, and this Fantasy is no exception. He performed it, and he wasn't the world's greatest pianist, and he just couldn't play it. So he would always, at every attempt, he'd stop in the middle and according to his biographies, he'd cry out to all the powers above and below.
He even said that not even the devil could play that. Yeah, and the Schubertiade evenings were known for the time that he presented his works for his friends and asked his friends to perform with him.
Yes,
yeah.
That must have been something to witness.
Oh, yeah. Ammiel, I cannot ask you, I could stay with you and ask you any questions, but we would be here the whole day. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. You are a fantastic pianist and musician, and I'm very pleased to get to know you. Thank you very much, and I thank Andrea for the invitation to interview you, Ammiel.
And I hope that we will meet in person one day.
I hope so. Yes. I might be going to Europe. If I go to Europe, I would like to get in touch with you, and vice versa. If you come to the US, let me know. It will be a pleasure to have you. I would like to thank Andrea, and I will let her end the interview with more about the program.
I just would like to say one more time, thank you very much, Ammiel, because you are an amazing pianist, and yes, you are an inspiration also for the students or for our general public. I would like to. Yes. This is for sure. Thank you so much for sharing your music career and your experience that are so important for us.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. It's a beautiful interview. Thank you, Rose and Ammiel. Beautiful interview. Thank you very much. Thank you. Obrigada a todos vocês que estiveram conosco até agora. Esse é um programa da Escola de Música e Artes Cênicas da Universidade Federal de Goiás, juntamente com a Reitoria Digital e a Mississippi State University. Além de mim, fazem parte desse programa Maria Caroline Porto, Rosângela Seba, Sérgio de Paiva, Pablo Lisboa e Wesley de Menezes. Nós temos o apoio da Fundação para a Ciência e Tecnologia de Portugal, Centro de Estudos de Sociologia e Estética Musical da Universidade Nova de Lisboa, Centro de Estudos Brasileiros, Rádio Universitária e Rádio Brasil Central FM. Muito obrigada por estarem conosco. The Piano in its Perspectives is a program of the School of Music and Performing Arts, Digital Department of the Federal University of Goiás and the Mississippi State University, with support from the Foundation for Science and Technology of Portugal, Center for Studies in Sociology and Musical Aesthetics of the University of Lisbon, Center for Brazilian Studies, Radio Universitária, and Radio Brasil Central FM. Besides me, Maria Caroline Porto, Pablo Lisboa, Rosângela Yasbeck Seba, Sérgio de Paiva, and Wesley de Menezes are part of the program's team. Thank you so much to all of you for the audience. Thank you very much.